start. So thank you for starting. Now, if you look at this one, if we're gonna take if we're gonna take derivative of the first function, right? If you think about this, f prime, okay. The derivative is like another, like an informal way of taking derivative. It's like we're looking for the slope. If you look at this function, what is the slope of this line? If you think about it, you have an equation y equal to 4x. What is the slope? And that is the derivative of this function, okay? So I kind of threw in the 4 right here just to see how you handle this problem. So I kind of purposely mix things together, so it's a bit confused. It's not quite easy for you to see that derivative. But this one, this is the slope. It's the number in front of the x. So this one, the derivative is 4. So this is the yellow flag, okay? Over here, this one look a bit complicated. It's square root of 5. But think about this one is just a constant, and the derivative of constant is gonna be 0. Any constant gonna be 0 because it's a horizontal line. And then this last one, we'll look at the slope. Again, derivative is mean I'm looking at the slope, which is 5, right? So this is the green heart. So based on the work, I see most of you got it. Just a couple of you kind of got confused. So that is the thing, that is the case. Please see me for office hours because you will need to know how to take derivative, and everything we do for the next couple of weeks can be based on derivative, okay? So I think, if I'm counting correctly, we have about, let's see, about 7 to 8 instructional days. And then you're gonna have your final exam. Then you'll be done. So that is, let's see, we have 3 of instructional weeks, but then you have a final exam, and then you graduate from Northtown. So if you get good grade, you're doing okay for the next 3 weeks, and then the final exam, you're most likely you're probably not gonna fail. But if anyone have like a 1 or a 0, now is a good time for you to check in with me to make sure that you do what you missed. All the Khan Academy assignment, Kudo works. If you have not do those, go ahead and do them. But right now, I'm not going to give you full credit anymore because it's been a while. I gave you enough time to do it. So if you're going to do it, you still can bring up your grade. So you still do those assignments. But the highest I would give you for this week is 3. And if you still chose not to do it this week, and you're going to do it next week, and going to be down to 2. So my suggestion is 2 or 3 is still better. It is still better than a 0. Okay, so talk to me about your missing assignment. You still can do them. I will share the link with everyone. Again, it's in the chat. Okay, so now let's try. Okay, talk to me if you need help. Office hour every day at 12:45. But also, if you do recall, we do have office hour for this classes at 11:55 every other day. But if you cannot remember which day is your office hour, 12:45, just join Flip Remote. And then I'll be there. I'll be there to help you, okay? All right, so this is the derivative. If you're not sure, come to see me. Okay, let's do the next one. So what we're going to cover today is 2 things. We can look at tangent line, and we also will look at derivative of trig function. So we still find derivative. The tangent line is, remember, that's the last question in your last summative is about find the instantaneous rate. Instantaneous rate is the slope at a given point. So when you look at the curve, this is parabola. This graph is a parabola. And what I'm asking is, what is the slope at 0? That's what the question was asking. The slope is like, I'm gonna estimate around this point right here, what is the slope at 0? So it's look like negative, it's look like positive, and then we figure the slope is 2, the slope is 3, the slope is 5. And that is the last topic that we cover for the last summative, okay? So find the instantaneous rate. Some of you making a mistake when you took the test on Friday was instead of take the derivative first, you plug in the values and then you gave me that number. So if you look at my feedback, I graded your summative, so you want to go back and take a look on how you do, and you want to review and retake the test, let me know. You can do that, okay? So let's review with this one. Step 1, I'm going to take the derivative, which is f prime. So when you take the derivative, you bring the 2 to the front. It's going to be 2x minus 2, okay? If you break it up, you can think of this one. If you want to see step by step, you bring down the 2. This is minus 1. This part right here is this linear function, so it's just down to negative 2. And the negative 2 right here becomes 0. And now the next step would be f of 0. F prime of 0 is 2 times 0 minus 2 is negative 2. So the instantaneous rate is negative 2 when x is 0. Question for me on this one, is this something that we want to spend more time on? Are we okay with this one? Let me know. Okay. So what we're going to do is that we're going to review this a little bit further, but when we review this, we're going to do the next couple, we're going to move on to the new topics, but when I took the derivative of this function, I will slow down a little bit so that way I can show you the step by step. So we're going to do more of those, yes. Okay, for sure. Okay, one more, let's do this one. Okay, we will review one more. But right now, before we do that, I know some of you like, can we do one more example of that? For sure, we'll do that. Now, do you recognize these two linear forms? The first one is y equal mx plus b. The second one is y minus y1 equal to mx minus x1. I'm going to ask you to match the name with the function. So go ahead and drag the icon to the right one. So let's see if you remember. So we have slope intercept and we have point slope. So let's bring it to the right place. Right? The slope intercept is this one. And the point slope is this one. How do I know? Right here, if you look at the form, you look at the m, right? M represents slope. And the b is the y-intercept. Remember the name that you'd spend like almost every year in freshman year to talk about it. M is the slope, b is the y-intercept. And if you figure out, you remember the slope-intercept, and that means the other one is point-slope. Because you have a point and you have the slope. And you put them together. What we're going to do today is that we will, I know somebody asked me to do that. We will review the other one. But before we do that, I'm going to ask you to take a few minutes. I want you to simplify this equation. There's a reason why I need you to know this skill. I want to see where you are, and I'm going to figure how much review that I should do with this one. So if you have this equation, okay, I want you to simplify this. Let's see what you have. I'm going to check in. Okay, so if after I do distribution, first step, I can distribute. So now I have y minus 3 equal to over 3x minus 2. Now, what is the next step that I can do? There's another thing. There's one more step that I can do. And I'm seeing most of you have it in here. We want to cancel out the 3 on the y. Okay, so I see that. I'm looking, so you're going to plus 3. So y equal 2/3 x plus 1. Okay, so most of you got this. That is good. Cool. It's okay. You forgot. I want to see the work so I know where you are. I know how much I have to review. It seemed to me the majority of you was like, okay, I remember. I see parenthesis means distribution. I'm going to go ahead and do that. So that's good. And then some of you got kind of stuck with a fraction, which is fine. And then half of you is okay. You got that. All right, so this is one way for you to do it. Another way that I see, and there's nothing wrong with this method, it's actually going to work out the same. So I'm going to clear this one. Okay, this is what I see. I'm like, okay, that's work. I see some of you plus the 3 first, and that is okay too. Y equal 2/3 x minus 3 plus 3. That is okay. You can bring the 3 over first. Now you can do distribution. So y equal to 2/3x. And then when you multiply 2/3 with -3, the 3 cancel out, so you just have 2. And then you can do plus 3, right? So if you simplify this one, it's going to be the same. Y equal 2/3x. -2 and 3, if you combine like term, it's going to give you positive 1. So that method is okay too. So I saw one of you, actually one of you did that first. You move the 3 over. So this is the one that you probably learned in pre-cal, is when you simplify, not simplify, but you change from point slope to slope intercept. The reason we have this, because when we do practice or when you look at multiple choice, the answer they're going to give you is in slope intercept. And then we need to know what to do with that. Okay, so I think we're probably going to slow down a little bit when we get to this steps. Okay. All right, question for me on how I'm going to go back to that last slide. Question for me. Question for me on this slide. Okay. The one thing that we're going to cover today, we're going to cover two things, derivative of trig functions, and we're going to write equation of tangent line. I'm going to highlight the word tangent. Tangent line means the line, it just touch the other line exactly at one point. What do I mean by that? If I have this graph, oops. If I have this line, this is my function, okay? Tangent line means for over here, I want a tangent line at 3, when x is 3, so 1, 2, 3, something over here, okay, at 3. Tangent line means a straight line that's going to touch my quadratic function at x is 3. I'm going to write the equation for this line. This line called tangent line. That is a line that will touch the curve, the polynomial, the curve, whatever the function given to you. The tangent line, that straight line, will touch that graph at the point that I tell you, which is the x. As x is equal to 3. Okay, so tangent line is a straight line that touch the function, the given function, at a certain point that was given to you. It could be any point, they will tell you that, okay? So a tangent line, this is a straight line, so this straight line we know is a linear function. So normally we're going to use this equation to write, this formula to write equation, or we use the one that I showed you earlier to write the equation. So the goal for today, we're going to write an equation for this tangent line, that straight line, at the point that they want you to figure out what is that line at that point. So it sounds confusing, but question for me, like I just want you to understand what we're trying to do. So the black line is the line that's given to you, okay? And they want you to find the tangent line, which is a straight line that's going to touch the given line at that specific point, and they want you to write an equation for that straight line, that tangent line. So let's say if I have this graph. This is line A. And I have this one right here. This one is line B. Can you please put in the chat? I'm gonna ask you this. Which line is the tangent line? Line A or line B? Based on the picture that I'm showing to you, which line is the tangent line? A or B? Cool. Thank you, Lena. Thank you, Aisha. Line B? So line B is the tangent line at, I don't know, so let's say 1, 2, 3. So this is the tangent line when x is at -3. They wanted you to figure out what that is. So tangent line is that straight line will touch. So we can have another tangent line over here. For example, I can have over here, right here. This line C can be a tangent line too. So you may have more than one tangent line for that function. It's dependent on what point they're asking you to figure it out. Okay, at different point, you can have a different tangent line. So like over here, you may have a, over here, you may have another tangent line, okay? So the tangent line for each point on the graph is going to be different. Okay, so tangent line is a straight line at a specific point on the graph that touch that point on that graph. So I'm going to ask you to write out the step if that helps you. Step number 1, I'm going to take the derivative. And this is something some of you already asked me earlier. Can you review how to find the derivative of that? So think about when you write an equation of a line, think about equation. We have two options. Either we're going to use a slope-intercept, which is y equal mx plus b, or we use this one right here, y minus y1, mx minus x1. Okay? So when think about equation, tangent line is straight line, so I'm going to use either form, either slope-intercept or point slope to write that equation. So remember, we spent a lot of times in freshman year and even junior year to do that. So step number 1, I'm going to take the derivative. Okay, I'm going to take the derivative. So f prime is going to give me 2x minus 2. Step 2, notice if you're going to write the equation, you're going to need the slope. Doesn't matter which form that you're going to use, you're going to need the slope. So how we find the slope? Remember, we plug in the values. This is the x, this is the y. So this one is f prime of x, so my step 2, I'm going to find the slope by using the x value, which is 3. So 2 times 3 minus 2, that would be 6 minus 2, which is 4. So I know the slope is 4. And now I'm going to write that equation. So I'm going to pause for question because this is the one that some of you asked me to review and do another example. So question for me. We continue with where we left off. This is not new. We're going to do one more steps, actually 2. So question for me so far. Where does the -2 come from? This -2 is from here. When you took the derivative of negative 2x, turn into negative 2. Okay, so now we're going to write that tangent line. We're going to write the equation. Okay, so now we're going to write the equation. So we already have the slope. And right now up here, if you look over here, they gave you a point. So you have the slope and you have a point. I'm going to ask you which function, which formula is going to make sense for me to use. So slope-intercept, which is this one, formula A, or formula B. Which one makes sense for me to use? Notice I have the slope and I have a point. So think about which one makes sense. The second one, right? So I have a point and I have the slope. So the point is going to be x1, y1. So I'm going to just plug into my equation. Y minus y1, which is 4. The slope is 4. X minus x1, which is 3. And this is the tangent line. So that's the steps. So that's the part that we missed. We didn't finish up last week. Okay, we just stopped at finding the slope. So to find the tangent line, you already have the slope. You just have to plug it back into the equation. And for me, when they ask to write the tangent line, if it's a short response, this is fine, no problem. I'm good with this. However, depend on the text, depend on the practice, and sometimes it's even depend on like Kudo Works or Khan Academy. They probably ask you to simplify, which remember I asked you to simplify. If they ask you to simplify, you can stop right here if it's a short response. Don't bother to simplify. Because when you simplify, you may risk the fact that you're gonna make mistakes, silly mistake when you simplify. So unless the choices is in slope-intercept, I'm gonna ask you to leave it right here, and we're not gonna do anything further. Okay, so right now I'm not gonna simplify yet because I want you to look at another example, and we're gonna practice to write the tangent line in this form. So question for me. Okay. All right, we're gonna do this one. We're gonna write another one. We're gonna find the equation. So keep in mind the equation. We have the general one would be y minus y1, mx minus x1. Remember that. That's the one that we're gonna use. So step number 1, I'm gonna take the derivative, which is f prime. If you don't know how to take the derivative, my advice to you is see me for office hours, okay? But in here, look at this problem. It's a bit tricky, so I have to rewrite this one a little bit. Minus, see the negative in the bottom, so that's going to be 2x squared. I bring that up because I don't want negative exponent, so I bring that up. When I bring it up, it's turned into positive. Okay. So 3x squared. The 2, bring it over, so negative 2 times 2 would be 4. The 2 minus 1 give me 1. The 99 gonna cancel out. So notice I skip steps when I'm taking the derivative because right now, at this point, I'm hoping that you know how to take the derivative. If you don't, you will get lost. So see me for help or do extra practice, the one that you didn't do yet. So that's step 1. I will do step 2. I'm gonna find the slope. Which values do I use to find the slope? The 2 or 99? 2. Yes, that is correct. So I'm going to use 2. So f prime of 2. So 3 times 2 squared minus 4, 2. This gives you 3 times 4 minus 8, 12 minus 8. So my slope is 4. This is my slope. That's the m. Okay. Cool. Now I'm going to write my equation. I'm going to highlight part that I want you to plug it in. I'm going to plug in a point. I'm going to plug in a x, and then I have to plug in the slope. The x and y, remember when you write an equation, they should involve, the x and y should be there. So those are the only two that you don't replace. So I'm going to write my equation right now is going to be y, this is x1, this is y1. So I'm going to write my equation y minus y1, which is 99. The slope that I just solved for right here, which is 4. And then x minus x, which is 2. And this is my tangent line. This is the, I'm going to rewrite this a little bit. It doesn't look very clear. 4x minus 2. And this is my tangent line. Okay, I'm going to pause for you to copy this down. If you need to copy it down on a piece of